きるのかなというところを、検討していただいて、何かアクションを起こしていただけると嬉しいなと思います。はい、では、アプリのデモは以上になります。はい、Luke's finished demo. How do you feel apps? How do you feel about app sales?
Very good. You're doing great. This is awesome. Thank you to Yuta-san. Domoarigato.
Thank you.
Good job. I always, I'll have to switch back for me. I always find it fun to see the applications in every country we go to. The unique thing about the world we live in is there are a few applications that are globally used, but in general, there are many local applications and many opportunities. And so some of the innovation you were showing here, Yuta, in the Japanese market, we see that in every country, and there's phenomenal opportunity there. I wanted to switch gears. We spent a good amount of time on the client side, in particular Windows 8. I did want to spend a couple of minutes on the cloud side and Windows in the cloud. Obviously, the people here are generally familiar with the on-premises servers that we offer. But I think, with Azure, most people might not be aware, it's pretty much designed cloud first. If you went back 10 years and you worked on our server, in our server product team, we would have been building for on-premise first. It's completely different now in the sense that we've taken all of the knowledge we have from running those very large-scale services, Skype, Hotmail, Windows Live, SkyDrive, Xbox Live, etc., and worked on building a platform for the cloud that scales to support the world's largest global services. So it starts from the cloud first. The second thing is that deployment choice. You can build an application that you can run on-premise or in the cloud. You can go back and forth, and you can actually split your app across both of those. That symmetry has taken a little longer to create, but no other platform provides that. There's no other way to build an application that you can run on and off premise. And when we think about all of those existing applications, the answer, most people say, well, just move it all to the cloud, just change it. There's a lot of existing code there, and people don't necessarily want to suddenly move everything. So the ability to be able to work across both is a fairly unique capability of the Windows and Azure platforms. The third is it's a very open platform. Whether it's Node.js, PHP, Java, Hadoop, one of the things I don't think most people realize is we've spent a large amount of time with the open source community so that people can run and build applications on the Azure platform or in the Azure cloud that use a ton of open source standards. There's actually a wholly owned subsidiary or division of Microsoft called Microsoft Open Technologies, and they spend their whole time working with the open source community on projects for our platform. And so if you want to run VMs from different platforms, you can do that. And if you want to write your code using open source, there are a number of hooks or capabilities to do that on the Azure cloud. And last but not least, I always like to talk about Enterprise Ready by showing Halo 4. While Halo may not be a traditional enterprise application, if the service for Halo goes down, I know at my house I hear about it, and I'm the IT department. And so being able to run very large-scale services, Halo's kind of fun. We also run Office 365 or our Office cloud offering completely on Azure. So it's built to run the very largest workloads. And we've been pretty fortunate to have a number of good partners. I list a few here. You see Samsung and Fujitsu and Humux. And there's companies in Australia and Japan and Korea and Taiwan. I picked some from Asia who are using Azure for a number of different reasons. It's very popular in the startup community. We have a program called BizSpark that allows people to get access to Azure for basically no cost in the beginning. So they have a certain amount of storage and runtime that they can use. So we see startups and we see very large companies. We see media companies. We see folks, architect type companies. Depending on what kind of app you want to write, we get very good usage. And the interesting thing here is there's a number of partners who start, if you think about the 4 different parts of symmetry, they start with Azure first. They actually build a service for other platforms, sometimes iOS and Android, before they've actually built a Windows app, but they're still using Azure on the back end. And then there's some people who obviously use our client software and build for our store, but maybe don't use Azure on the back end. So one of the things that we've done is we've built a platform that allows you to mix and match pieces, and we've seen phenomenal pickup for Azure, even amongst people who might not be building apps for our traditional client side. And so again, when I think about symmetry and I think about points of entry, Azure and the cloud are giving us a completely new ability to work with developers and partners in ways and with partners we've not worked with before and who might not even be working with us on the client side. Now, there's a lot going on. Recently we announced Windows 8.1. There's a lot you can read about it on the web. I think one of the things we wanted to do when we released Windows 8 was quickly take feedback and follow up on things that we knew would be important. So there are obviously new chips coming up. There are new technologies coming out. And so being able to evolve as the hardware technology evolves is important. There's also things that our development partners have been asking for, and so being able to evolve relative to developers. There's also end user feedback. We obviously changed many things, and so here you'll notice the large tiles as well as the extra small tiles. So being even more personalization of the start screen. There are other things from user feedback. So one of the things we're doing is coming out with a release of Windows 8.1 for this holiday season. It's a free upgrade, and one of the reasons to do that is to both take the feedback and continue the pace of innovation in line with how the industry is changing. So supporting new hardware, supporting the new capabilities that developers are asking for, and supporting feedback from the end user base. We've seen phenomenal traction with Windows 8. Windows 8.1 gives us another point in time to sort of take advantage of